Welcome to Aimee's Archives. This is the best of the best. This is my very best content, the content that has helped thousands of women just like you. So go in, enjoy, and if you want access to the full video in its original format, see the description below for the link. Dive in and enjoy, and please leave comments so I know how to better support you. Hello, hello, hello. I am so happy to be with you guys and to share some really important information for all you girls out there who are thinking about your fertility, who are trying to conceive naturally, who are in the throes of fertility treatments. For all of you out there who are worried about your hormone levels, I have got some tips for you on how to naturally improve your FSH and your AMH so you can get pregnant faster. So first off, what is FSH? What is AMH? Some of you know, some of you don't know. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. It is secreted by your brain, and it tells your body to produce follicles. And as that number goes up, doctors see it as a bad sign, a sign of diminished ovarian reserve. AMH is anti-Müllerian hormone. It's a hormone secreted by your ovaries. As that number goes down, doctors see that as a bad sign that your ovarian reserve is diminishing. So girls, women will come to me all the time stressed about high FSH, low AMH. Very, 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 very stressed about these things. First off, your doctors use this as a measurement tool of ovarian reserve. Ovarian reserve has not been shown scientifically at all to have anything to do with ovarian egg quality. So if you have a poor reserve, it does not mean automatically you have poor quality eggs, okay? So that's first thing. I wanna just dispel that myth for you. If you have poor reserve, you do not have poor quality eggs. And my main focus when I work with women is quality, not quantity. I don't give a crap about how many eggs you have left, and you shouldn't either. The only time it really, really matters is when you're doing fertility treatments, because doctors use these numbers as a gauge to see how well you're gonna respond to their fertility meds. If your FSH is high or your AMH is low, you're not gonna respond that well. You're a harder case for them. Interestingly enough, research from 2017 in the Journal of American Medical Association, JAMA, found that a study of 1,000 women, they looked at women with high FSH, low AMH, and women with healthy levels of FSH and AMH, and found that their reproductive potential, meaning their ability to get and stay pregnant and carry to term, was exactly the same. So basically, women with high FSH or low AMH got pregnant at the same rate as women with healthy levels of FSH and AMH. Take that in. Listen, what I'm asking of you is to not be attached to those numbers. What your Western docs put on you are these numbers all the time. So it's really hard. It's challenging. My heart goes out to you because it's not easy. It's not easy to gauge where to stand here, right? It's not easy to gauge this situation, but I will tell you this. I mean, I've seen it clinically. I see it all the time. I see women with these poor, high FSH, low AMH, and they get pregnant. They're not always good responders when it comes to IVF, but they get pregnant, usually on their own. And then I've seen women that are great, that have great numbers, they're great responders, they're still having trouble. So I don't see these numbers meaning that much. So what I'm gonna ask of you, the number one way that I'm gonna tell you to naturally improve your FSH and AMH is to stop caring about it. Yep. I want you to become less attached to your numbers. Your numbers do not define you. Your numbers do not define your fertility. We don't know what the general population is. We don't know what their FSH or AMH is when they just get pregnant so easily. We have no idea. When I turned 40 and my husband and I decided to start trying for a child, I went to my gynecologist and I said, should I get my FSH tested? She said, no. No, why do that to yourself, Aimee? You do what you do for other women. Your job is to help get them as healthy as they can be and then conceive from that place. You've been following your own advice for how many years? Your book is in our waiting room. Follow that advice. I'll test your thyroid, I'll test your vitamin D. That's what she agreed to test, because she was just like, I don't want to do any tests, just go get pregnant, like go get knocked up. I said, I want to know what my thyroid and my D are. Let's just check those. Okay, fine, she said. She goes, I see it all the time. These women get, we test their numbers because they ask us to, or, and then they get in their head about them. And if they're not good, it's gonna become your identity. I have low AMH. I have high FSH. I am screwed, is basically what you're saying to yourself. My body is failing me and I will never get pregnant. And then you live your life from that space. It becomes a belief. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. And I have talked about this ad nauseum. I wrote a whole book on it. Your beliefs dictate your behavior dictates your health. When you walk around thinking, I am my numbers and my numbers are crap, guess what? Your body's gonna respond that way. When you walk around thinking, yeah, my numbers are what they are, and guess what? FSH changes all the time, AMH changes all the time. FSH and AMH change all the time. I see them improve, I see them not improve. I see them stay exactly the same for 3 years. I see a 45-year-old in my group, her AMH went up by a whole point. Her doctor said, this is impossible. What have you been doing? This is impossible. What have you been doing? He thinks it's impossible because AMH is supposed to decline with age, and it's especially not to get better when you go from 43 to 44. But hers did. What was she doing? I think it was diet. I think it was lifestyle, acupuncture, Mayan abdominal massage, castor oil packs. The way I look at AMH is it's secreted by the ovaries. If you improve blood flow and circulation to the ovaries and the uterus by doing castor oil packs or acupuncture, taking Chinese herbs, you're going to improve your AMH. If you balance your hormones, if you get rid of estrogen dominance in your body, you're going to improve your FSH, because FSH and estrogen feed off of each other. You improve ovarian function, you're going to improve your FSH. These numbers are not set in stone. And no matter what, when these numbers are poor or bad or not normal for your age, we're not talking about having 4 eggs left. You still have a couple hundred, if not a couple thousand eggs left. We're talking about, we just need to improve the quality. So my tip number 1, when it comes to naturally improving FSH and AMH, is look at the research. An article published 2017 in a really highly esteemed medical journal found that women have the same reproductive potential across the board, the same rate of getting pregnant and having a child, regardless of these numbers. Okay? So let's not let these numbers define us. Tip number 2, you gotta go organic. You have to go pesticide-free. According to Jeffrey Smith, a leading national expert on the dangers of genetically modified organisms and the author of the book Seeds of Deception, in a recent interview, how most genetically modified organisms are herbicide tolerant, and therefore have high amounts of herbicides in the food they produce. Smith stated Roundup, an herbicide used in genetically modified foods all over the United States. So basically anything organic is not genetically modified and will not have Roundup, okay? So just so you know that. Organic means non-GMO. That's what the definition of it is. And non-GMO means no pesticides and non-genetically modified foods. Okay, so Roundup, an herbicide used in genetically modified foods, is directly toxic, linked with cancer, birth defects, endocrine disruption, which means it disrupts your hormones. It will disrupt your FSH, it will disrupt your AMH, it will disrupt your estrogen, your progesterone, your luteinizing hormone, your TSH. Any hormone in your body, it will disrupt it. It's not just the pesticides in our food, it's the toxins in our bath and beauty products that you guys have heard me talk about too. There's a whole reason why I created Aimee Raupp Beauty. It's non-toxic skincare, pure enough to eat, that will help balance your hormones because it's free of all the freaking toxins that imbalance your hormones. In 2010, the journal Frontiers in Neuroendocrinology, which basically means hormones secreted by the brain, published a paper on endocrine disrupting chemicals and their effect on female reproduction. Here's an astonishing quote from the paper. The overall fertility rate of women aged 15 to 44 in the United States has dropped 44% between 1960 and 2002. So that means 44% of women, less women are getting pregnant over these last 42 years. Lifestyle choices may have been a major contributor of this decline. So things like really stressful jobs, working too much, not sleeping enough, not eating well enough. Sure, those things could have been an issue. However, according to the data from the National Survey for Family Growth, the impaired fertility rate increased from 11% to 15% between 1982 to 2002. So the last 20, well, now it's 40 years. Furthermore, the incidence of female reproductive disorders such as early puberty, irregular menstrual cycles, endometriosis, premature ovarian failure, polycystic ovarian disorder is increasingly in parallel with the increasing numbers of endocrine disrupting chemicals in the environment. A recent study has shown the average woman is exposed to 500 chemicals before she leaves the house in the morning. 500 chemicals. These 500 chemicals are disrupting your hormones and they are compromising your FSH and your AMH and your ability to get and stay pregnant. They're also the leading cause of autoimmune conditions like endometriosis, like polycystic ovarian syndrome, like premature ovarian failure, like Hashimoto's thyroiditis. These chemicals are doing major harm to our bodies and to our fertility. So take that in. So tip number one, we're not gonna let those numbers lead our lives, right? FSH and AMH change all the time. They tend not dictate our behavior, which then dictates our health, okay? Tip number two, we gotta go organic, non-GMO, and non-toxic with the food we eat and the bath and beauty products. And then tip number three, which is so easy for me to sit here and say, you gotta manage your stress. Your stress impacts your cortisol impacts your brain and all the hormones, and it will impact your FSH and your AMH. When you are under constant stress, you are in constant fight or flight mode, and your body will not prioritize fertility. It will not prioritize ovulation, and it will not prioritize your hormones or getting pregnant. And I know there's so much information out there. It is overwhelming for you guys, and I feel bad because how many sources can you trust? And how do you even know you can trust me? I mean, I get it, you know, I believe you can trust me, but you have to make that decision for yourself. And I only know what I know from my experience and seeing what really works for women. And so I know beliefs really impact things. So I don't want you believing that your AMH and your FSH have to dictate your health. I know that going organic and non-toxic with your food and your bath and beauty products really make a significant difference. There's hardcore medical science that shows it. And then I also know that you gotta reduce your stress levels. So much easier said than done, but think about meditation, think about journaling. Get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Really, really important for your health, your fertility, your cortisol levels, and your hormones. Okay, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much. Again, you want more information from me, AimieRaupp.com.